वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, entitled Creation, Chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished. There are two texts that we have today, 21 and 22. 21 doesn't have purport, I'll read it myself. 22 we will read together. Tatah praduskrutam tejah pracha. I'll read it myself. Tatah praduskrutam tejah prachandam sarvatodisham pranapadam abhipreksha vishnum jishnuruvachaha. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjuna thought his own life is in danger. And so he began to address Lord Shri Krishna. This one we will chant together. Arjuna Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Daihyamananam Apavargosi Samshritehe. Arjuna Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Daihyamananam Apavargosi Samshritehe. Arjuna Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Daihyamananam Apavargosi Samshritehe. Arjuna Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Daihyamananam Apavargosi Samshritehe. Arjuna Uvacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Daihyamananam Apavargosi Samshrite.
Arjuna Uvacha
Krishna
Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Daihyamananam
Apavargosi Samshrite. Arjuna Uvacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara. Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshritehe.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara.
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Apavargosi Samshritehe.
Apavargosi Samshrite.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Bhaktanam Abhayamkaram.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara.
Tvameko Dahyamananam.
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Apavargosi Samsritehe.
Apavargosi Samshritehe.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Krishna Krishna Mahabhavo.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Bhaktanam Abhayamkara.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara.
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Apavargosi Samsrite.
Apavargosi Samshrite.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara.
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Apavargosi Samshritehe.
Apavargosi Samshrite. Arjuna Uvacha. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. Bhaktanam Abhayankara. Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshrite.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Krishna Krishna Mahabaho.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara.
Bhaktanam Abhayankara.
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Tvameko Dahyamananam
Apavargosi Samshrite.
Apavargosi Samshrite. Online? Arjuna Uvacha. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. Bhaktanam Abhayankara. Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshrite. Arjuna Uvacha. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. Bhaktanam Abhayankara. Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshritehe. Synonyms: Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said, Krishna, O Lord Krishna.
O Lord Krishna,
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 O Lord Krishna.
O Lord Krishna,
Mahabhaho,
Mahabhao,
He who is the Almighty.
He who is the Almighty,
Bhaktanam,
Bhaktanam,
of the devotees.
of the devotees,
Abhayankara,
Abhayankara,
eradicating the fears of.
eradicating the fears of
Tvam,
Tvam,
you.
you,
Ekaha,
Ekaha,
alone.
alone,
Dahyamananam,
Dahyamananam,
those who are suffering from.
those who are suffering from
Apavargaha,
Apavargaha,
the path of liberation.
path of liberation,
Asi,
Asi,
are.
are,
Samshritehe,
Samshritehe,
in the midst of material miseries.
in the midst of material miseries.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Translation: Arjuna said, O my Lord, Shri Krishna, you are the Almighty Personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only. Translation with repetition. Arjuna said,
Arjuna said,
O my Lord Shri Krishna,
O my Lord Shri Krishna,
you are the almighty personality of Godhead.
you are the almighty personality of Godhead.
There is no limit to your different energies.
There is no limit to your different energies.
Therefore, only you
Therefore, only you
are competent to instill fearlessness
are competent to instill fearlessness
in the hearts of your devotees.
in the hearts of your devotees.
Everyone in the flames of material miseries
Everyone in the flames of material miseries
can find the path of liberation
can find the path of liberation
in you only.
in you only.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Arjuna was aware of the transcendental qualities of Lord Shri Krishna, as he had already experienced them during the Kurukshetra war, in which both of them were present. Therefore, Arjuna's version of Lord Krishna is authoritative. Krishna is almighty and is especially the cause of fearlessness for the devotees. A devotee of the Lord is always fearless because of the protection given by the Lord. Material existence is something like a blazing fire in the forest, which can be extinguished by the mercy of the Lord Shri Krishna. The spiritual master is the mercy representative of the Lord. Therefore, a person burning in the flames of material existence may receive the rains of mercy of the Lord through the transparent medium of the self-realized spiritual master. The spiritual master, by his words, can penetrate into the heart of the suffering person and inject knowledge transcendental, which alone can extinguish the fire of material existence. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this is the unique position of this verse, that this is the first prayer of Srimad Bhagavatam offered by Arjuna. And the next series of verses that we will see, Arjuna will continue to offer some wonderful prayers to Krishna. This is the first one that he is offering, and it's a very beautiful prayer. And what a way to start the new year when we have a prayer like this in front of us to meditate upon. Let's see the verse, what Arjuna is telling. Arjuna uvacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshritehe. Very, very wonderful verse. Bhagavatam is very poetic, and if you really, chant this with the feelings, imagine the position of the position of Arjuna, which is just mentioned in the previous verse, where he's seeing that there is a prachanda tejaha, which is prachandam, tatah praduskritam tejaha, prachandam sarvato disham. That glare was so fierce, so severe, that it blinded almost all directions. Sarva disham. Tatah praduskritam tejaha, prachandam sarvato disham, prana apadam abhipreksha. Prana apadam, seeing that his own life is in danger, affecting his life, Vishnur Jishnur Uvachaha. He is calling out, he is beginning to address. When we are reading these verses, we should first put ourselves in the shoes of Arjuna. Imagine if you are there in that position and there is a fire weapon, the Brahmastra, which has been released by Aswathama, who is Dvija Bandhu, or who's even though he is born in the family of Brahmanas, doesn't have the Brahmanical qualities because he doesn't know how to retract that. He has released that weapon, and Arjuna is fearful. Arjuna is fearful, and he is saying, Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. I mean, there is no other hope. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. Bhaktanam Abhayankara. Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshrite. There is a lot of feeling of desperation, help, that in this prayer which is there. If we sit and just chant Arjuna Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tumeka Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshrite, we will not even get what the emotions of this verse is. It's a verse of it's a verse which is of utter helplessness, which Arjuna is praying here. So what is he saying? He's saying Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara. Krishna is the only personality, he's the only Lord who can instill fearlessness in his devotees. Bhaktanam Abhayankara, who can eradicate the fears from our heart. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara. What kind of fear? What is the fear that we all have? Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshritehe. These words of Bhagavatam is so powerful. Tvameko Dahyamananam. Each one of us, we are suffering here. If you literally see the meaning of the word Dahyamananam, we are getting burned. Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshrite. We are getting burnt where? In this Samshrite, which is in the midst of material miseries. But Krishna can give us apavargo, can give us liberation from this flames of burning material existence. Arjuna said, "O my Lord Shri Krishna, Krishna Krishna, you are the almighty personality of Godhead, Mahabaho. There is no limit to your different energies. It's just Krishna Krishna Mahabaho explained further by Prabhupada, which is not there in the translation, or it's not there in the verse or word-to-word meaning. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness, Bhaktanam Abhayankara, in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries, Samsrite Dahyamananam, can find the path of liberation, Apavargo, in you only. Tvam Eko." Very beautiful words, and very powerful purport, very equally powerful purport by Prabhupada. Let's spend some time in understanding this. So the first thing, that if we see this verse, twice it is used, Krishna Krishna. It's not that Arjuna was foolish or forgetful that Krishna is present. He is knowing that Krishna is right there in front of him, and probably there is no need to call him twice. But that is how the Vedic literatures, they talk about when there is prayers which are offered. Especially if you see, there are at least 6 to 7 instances in Bhagavatam, at least 6 to 7, maybe more, where similar expression is used, Krishna Krishna. First instance, when when the king of heaven, Lord Indra, was pelting all these thunderstorms and rains and all heavily on Govardhan, all the Brajavasis, they ran to Krishna and they say the same thing, Krishna Krishna Mahabhaga Tvannatham Gokulam Prabho Tratum Arhasi Devan Nah Kupitad Bhaktavatsala. Krishna Krishna, oh most fortunate one, please deliver the cows from the wrath of Indra. O Lord, you are so affectionate to your devotees, please save us. This is one instance. There is another instance where Bhagavatam mentions about the same Krishna Krishna. It happens when there is this blazing forest fire which comes. So all the cowherd boys, they start saying exact same expression, Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. Then there is another mention, at least 5-6 times, where it is mentioned Krishna Krishna. Even after a few words, there will be Uttara who will be running to Krishna when Aswathama will release another Brahmastra again to kill the child in her womb. There she'll call out Yogi Yogi. So these are expressions which, when it is repeated twice, it brings certain emotions and sees how it makes how desperate or how feelingly the devotee is calling out. So Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samshrite. The words, I thought, let us first understand what is this word samshritehe and what is dahyamananam, and then we will see why this prayer is relevant and how in our life also whom should we pray and what should we pray and how should we understand Krishna's role in our lives. These are some of the things we will discuss. So the first thing is samshritehe. Anybody knows where this word samshriti is used in Bhagavad? Yeah, very nice. So that's there in the first canto, first chapter, 14th verse. Apanna samshritim ghoram yadnama bibhiti grunan tato sadyo vimuccheta yad bibheti swayam bhayam. Apanna samshritim ghoram. Actually, the word samshriti is such a, it can induce fear inside us if we really understand the meaning. The word samshriti means, as Prabhupada explains, we are entangled. Imagine you are entangled. You are a normal person, you are doing everything fine, all of a sudden you have been entangled by something. And you are entangled, but you are entangled in the complicated mess of birth and death. Where are you entangled in? You are entangled, but you are entangled in the mess of birth and death. It's a very precarious situation. Very, very precarious. Apavargosi samshrite. So we are all stuck. We are stuck in this samsara. We have so much of false pride, false hope. We want to enjoy. We are powerful. We are in control of situations. We can do anything we want in life. We think like that. But we are entangled in the mess of birth and death. Apannaha samshritim ghoram. Ghoram is very, very fearful. A person who is seeing, if you like, if you have an opportunity to go out of this planet Earth or go out of the material world and you are seeing what's going on here, to that person, it'll appear it's a very scary, very fearful existence that these people are going through. But the people who are actually going through, they are oblivious. They are thinking it's fine. This life is meant for enjoyment and they're going like this. That's why in Bhagavatam there is a very beautiful expression which comes. It's called Kalena Sarvatra Gavhira Ramhasa. Kalena Sarvatra Gavhira Ramhasa. We are like playthings. We are like small toys. Kalena Sarvatra Gavhira Ramhasa. In the flow of the river of time, we are just nothing. It can be gone like this. How do you really believe in that? Well, you may not believe, but you can just see the pages of history, how there were so many powerful kings, so many influential people, so rich, so much of impact they had when they were existing, as they're gone into the oblivion of time. Where they are, we don't even know. Some names we remember. And what we don't realize, we are also getting flown in that, carried away by this river of time. Kalena sarvatra gavhira ramhasa. Slowly but steadily but imperceptibly, without our knowledge, this time is taking out our vitality of our life. We'll become old, we will become diseased, and we will die. So that is why this is called Dahyamananam. And when this is happening, is it a very, very pleasant thing that we are going through in this material world? Okay, even if I'm getting carried away by this flows, by the river of time, is it a very pleasant experience? Dahyamananam. That is why every day in the morning we remind ourselves, Samsara Dava Nalalidha Loka. First two words that we sing is Samsara Dava Nala. This material existence is like a blazing fire, forest fire of material existence. Where does this forest fire come from? Does it come from somewhere like, we go in a forest and there is a fire and we get ourselves burnt? No. The existence itself is compared with a forest fire of material existence. There is friction between people. There is friction in family members. There is friction in society. There is friction in the country. There is friction everywhere because we are thinking falsely, this is my self-interest. I should protect it. And when that interest which I think is mine is getting hampered or there is some obstacle in that, there is a friction and that friction leads to this fire, the Hyamanana. Not just that one fire. Our scriptures say there is another fire also which is burning within. What is that fire? It is, if you pay attention, this is a prayer which is offered by Lord Brahma. And he is saying this, Kamagnina Achyuta Rusha cha sudur bharena. Kamagnina Achyuta Rusha cha sudur bharena. In Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 3.98, as to how living entities are overwhelmed by strong sex urges and indefatigable anger. Kamagni and Rusa. Strong sex urges and anger. We are burning inside. A person is alive, but he's getting burned by this forces which are there within. Live example of this, Prabhupada gives the example of Duryodhan, and how Duryodhan was burning in the fire of envy. He had so much of envy. There were 5 lands which were given to Pandavas, which were arid, dry, barren, nothing was there. But somehow, by the help of Krishna, by the mercy of Krishna, they could transform that 5 barren lands to a beautiful palace. And when Duryodhana visited there, and he saw that such a nice palace has come over here, how it has been transformed, he was burning in envy. Deep within, very strong envy. And of course, that offense or whatever, he fell down into that water, and Draupadi laughing, saying that a blind son of a blind king. It was very, very piercing to Duryodhan, because that's how he was burning Daihyamananam. That is how we are also burning in this material world with Kamagni and Rusa. Kamagnina Achyuta Rusha cha sudur bharena. So what is the solution? Solution is given here. The other thing that we have to see is the word that is used here, which is said Bhaktanam Abhayankara. First thing is, one need to realize that we are in a very precarious position in this material world. Our life is like, Arjuna was seeing that it's an imminent danger. There is no hope. There is no respite. So he turned to Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho. We may look for solution when some danger comes to us in our life, in our own material intelligence. But actually the best thing, as it is exhibited by all the Brajavasis, by the associates of Krishna, like Arjuna in this verse, the first thing they do is they call out to Krishna. So that is a very important thing. That is a very important characteristic of every single devotee, because Lord Krishna is the only one who can instill fearlessness. Bhaktanam Abhayankara. One question one should ask is it good or bad to go to Krishna for some material things? What should we, is it really necessary? The answer is yes, it is better than going to anybody else. It is going to Krishna is definitely better. Where in Bhagavad Gita does Krishna say that he gives fearlessness? Or he says don't be fearful? Mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshaisyami mahasucha. Mahasucha, don't fear. These are words of Krishna. Krishna, at least on face value, we should accept. Krishna has promised. He will definitely take care of us. If provided, sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. If we have taken exclusive shelter of him. He says everywhere the conditions are given. The verse Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yejana Paripasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yoga Kshema Bahamyaham. He will protect what we have, he will provide what we lack. Provided Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. If I'm Ananyas, na Anya, nobody else. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. If we are thinking of Krishna, only Krishna exclusively, then it will happen. So here also, Tvameko Daihyamananam. You are the only one who can give us liberation. Tvameko Daihyamananam apavargosi samshrite. In the 6 principles of surrender, it is mentioned that avasya rakshive Krishna iti viswasa. Krishna will definitely take care. That firm faith is required. But sometimes when a situation like COVID happens, where we see that there are some people who are very dear to us, who are near and dear ones, they lost their lives. Then many people think differently and they ask these questions. Wasn't he a devotee? Wasn't he trying to come for Mangalarati? Wasn't he chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra? How did this happen? why your Krishna did not protect? If that kind of a question comes, we should understand what is that protection means. When Krishna says he's going to protect, what does that protection mean? Sometimes protection can be like in the case of Parikshit, where Krishna, even though he was physically present outside, entered into the womb of Uttara and protected Parikshit. Even though Brahmastra was sent to kill, Parikshit was having the beautiful darshan of the Lord. The first Mangalarti, I said, the beautiful darshan. He was very, very happy in that situation, even though it is the most precarious position. Birth is more painful than death. In that situation, he was having the blissful experience of his life. That is why he kept on examining, who is this, where is that Lord whom I saw in my mother's womb? The Lord protected. But same Lord, he didn't protect Abhimanyu. He was getting killed. The same Lord, so he can act in different ways. So how do we know that then? Is the Lord sometimes partial? Is the Lord sometimes impartial? Or is it that the Lord acts whimsically? Sometimes he protects, sometimes he doesn't. Or even in our own faith, when we are trying and practicing devotional life, when something goes wrong, we have our own understanding of Krishna's reciprocation, and when it doesn't happen, we feel that, well, what is the use? I am doing all these things, but still Krishna is not reciprocating. That is where we have to see very closely how each devotee's life Krishna reciprocates differently. Sometimes he withdraws himself, sometimes he protects. I'll give you a few examples. These are real life examples which I have heard from, the time always is running out, from some devotees who have shared their realizations. It's there in the Prabhupada memories. A few wonderful videos. I wanted to show that live, but I just couldn't get it. There's one devotee, is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who used to live in UK, and he was diagnosed with cancer, and then he is recalling his experience of going to the hospital, where there are long corridors, and the treatment that he is getting because of the cancer treatment is very, very painful. His hairs have all gone, and repeatedly he has to go for that treatment. There is no one else available for him, and he sees that pitiable situation in the hospital where people are getting all kinds of treatment, and he's thinking, why, oh Lord, why these things happen to me? I have been, and he's very elderly man, and he's saying, it's a lifetime of devotional service I have rendered to the Lord, and why, Krishna, you put me in this kind of a situation? What did I do wrong? Like that he was thinking, and the treatment somehow for him it worked, and he got rid of cancer completely. So he was meeting his doctor, the doctor who was treating him, the oncologist. When he was meeting him, finally when he was handing over the report to him, the doctor told him that in your case, probably you are the one of those few lucky people who came right in the time where you are diagnosed with cancer, and we could give you the right treatment, and you could be freed from this. Definitely there is some force which is overseeing you, who's acting on you, that you could come in the right time. That person literally broke down. He was in tears. He was telling, I was doubting the protection of my Lord. Right? It was just possible because the Lord came, and the Lord intervened in his life right at the right time, and that is how he could. Sometimes we go through some painful situations, some difficult situations, and we think probably the Lord is not present. No, the Lord puts us in these situations for various reasons. Sometimes it is good for us to get that punishment, to get over that because of our past karma. Sometimes the Lord puts us in that situation so that our surrender to Him increases. And sometimes the Lord puts us in those situations so that we can relish more the protection of the Lord within. There is another devotee of Srila Prabhupada disciple by name Kunti Devi Dasi. So she also was diagnosed with bone cancer, and she was diagnosed with bone cancer, and apparently this bone cancer is very, very painful. So and she was very young. It's not like she was very old or something. She was having this very painful situation, and people all around were thinking how pitiable it is, right? She is going through such a painful situation of bone cancer. But that Mataji, she was enjoying herself. She was relishing this. This is Krishna's best arrangement for me. And she was chanting more, reading more. Her consciousness was completely, absorbed in Krishna. And she quit her body, carrying the deities of Nitai Gauranga in very high bliss. We may not know the external, we may just see the external thing and we may conclude something, but what's going on inside, that's because, the relationship that one has with Krishna, Krishna reciprocates. That intense pain that she went through made her relish devotional service more. Of course, it's not true for everyone, but that's how it is. Then, the very interestingly, I have a purport of one of the verses, one of the very interesting situation which happens in Bhagavatam, where this Daksha was punished by Krishna. I wanted to read that very interesting thing that is. Where did it go? Yeah. This particular thing, we have to just pay attention how Prabhupada is explaining something very, very. You all know the story of Daksha, right? Daksha insulted Lord Shiva with all those harsh words. Sati had to self-immolate herself, and those things happened. Finally, when Daksha's head was beheaded, there was a goat head which was put on him. And he came back to his consciousness and offered some beautiful prayers. This is the first prayer that he's offering. I'll just read the translation. I did not know your full glories. For this reason, I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you did not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality. But you took compassion upon me and saved me by avoiding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. And this prayer, this is 4.7.15. In the purport, Prabhupada says a very, very beautiful thing. Very beautiful purport actually. First line, a devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such a condition to be the mercy of the Lord. A devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such a condition to be the mercy of the Lord. Factually, the insulting words used by Daksha against Lord Shiva were enough to have him thrown perpetually into a hellish life. But Lord Shiva, being kind towards him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. King Daksha realized this and, feeling obliged for Lord Shiva's magnanimous behavior, wanted to show his gratitude. Now, this 2-3 lines are very important, where Prabhupada is saying sometimes a father punishes his child, and when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was not actually punishment but mercy. Similarly, Daksha appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. That is the symptom of a person making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts the miserable condition to be the grace of the Lord. He thinks, I would have been punished or put into a more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds, but the Lord has protected me. Thus I have received only a little punishment as token execution of the law of karma. It's a very important verse, very important thing. Basically, instead of blaming the whole world, blaming the situations outside, blaming the Lord, blaming so many things, we should blame our own self. It's not like always, victimizing yourself, but we should understand one of the reasons why I've been put into this situation is my own self. It's not nobody else. So there are 3 verses where this Daksha offers this beautiful prayers, and there is a lot to be learned from that. So there is one point which Prabhupada is mentioning there. It is very nicely said in the scriptures that nobody is the cause of our own miserable condition. We are the prime cause, and that is why wherever there are reverses or dukkhas or miserable situations, without fail we should blame our own selves. And blame in the sense that our devotional service is not up to the mark, and that is why we are suffering. This is the instruction followed in day-to-day life, so that we finish off, we do away with the material inebrities. A very important point to remember. Now, the concluding portion of this purport, Prabhupada talks about a very important thing, how somebody can come out. Okay, one thing we understood, that we have to go to Krishna, we have to pray to him if at all we face danger, because that is better than going to anybody else. And how his protection will come based on our surrender, we don't know, but we've got to accept that. And we have to understand how Krishna's mercy is flowing on us, despite seemingly in my own mind, in my own intelligence, whatever I have thought of as reciprocation, it has not happened. Still, Krishna has reciprocated for my good. That I have to have a bigger understanding. The last thing is, how do we get Krishna's mercy? Can we just directly approach and get this? Prabhupada concludes the verse with a beautiful purport, the last line. The spiritual master, by his words, can penetrate into the heart of the suffering person and inject knowledge transcendental, which alone can extinguish the fire of material existence. You really are looking for a clue how you can extinguish the fire of material existence? Then it is the words of the spiritual master which can penetrate. We say that, we sing that song, Samsara Davanala, where the spiritual master is like that ocean of mercy, and that ocean of mercy, that cloud, mercy cloud, when it is raining, then the fire is getting extinguished. How does it work? Practically, Prabhupada has said that in this last few lines, last line, spiritual master by his words can penetrate into the heart of the suffering person. Actually, the cause of our suffering and the cause of our miserable situation is our ignorance of our own self. But to understand our ignorance, the words have to be sharp and pure to penetrate this heart. Otherwise, at that time, all of these things will not make any sense. So that is why the spiritual master by his words can penetrate into the heart of the suffering person and inject knowledge transcendental, which alone can extinguish the fire of it. There is nothing else. Transcendental knowledge can do that. It is there in Bhagavad Gita. One of the comparison is transcendental knowledge can extinguish the fire of material existence, which alone can extinguish the fire of material existence. That's why, we have to take the words of our spiritual master so seriously, because that is the only way this deep, strong knots of attachment which is there in our heart can be cut. That is the only way this burning material existence that we are experiencing, undergoing, can come to an end. These are some of the points about this verse. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments. Yes.
Prabhuji, you mentioned about Lord Brahma mentioning about the two things, Kamagni and Rucha.
Rusha.
Just wanted to ask you, and I think you were mentioning about how to overcome anger. Can you please share some light on that?
Yeah, it's a very it's a topic that I think it requires a lot of elaboration. But if you see what leads to kama, what leads to anger, if you see the flow chart which Bhagavad Gita presents very nicely. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. So dhyayato vishayan pumsa, it starts with some meditation on some sense objects. That's how we develop that attachment. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangastesu pajayate. Upajayate is to be produced. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Then comes kama. Kamat krodho vijayate. So the krodha, the root cause of krodha is kama. So what do we do? Actually, the manifestation of anger in our life, it says that there are a lot of unfulfilled desires. There are some materialistic desires which are still unfulfilled, and that is how we are having this anger. It is not just lust. Lust is definitely there, but it is any materialistic possessions or any materialistic activities when we are desiring. So what happens is, I think I had shown this earlier. Let me draw this. So when the spirit soul comes to the material world, how will it work? So this is the spirit soul. Oh, it's not working. Okay. So this is the spirit soul. And when it comes to this material world, there is an interface called mind. Okay. Through mind, we are interacting with this material world. Now, this mind, actually what it does is, there is a desire which is produced in the mind as to how we should enjoy in this material world. And how does that desire come? That desire comes because between the soul and mind there is this covering or this shield of false ego. And this false ego makes us believe that I am this body, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm whatever, North Indian, South Indian. And it also tells us that I lack something. There is something which is missing in me. And because of that something which is missing, there is a desire which is produced. Thinking that if that desire, if that particular thing which I'm missing, if I get that particular thing, I will be happy. So the soul wants to enjoy the material world. The interface is mind. The desires which are produced are in the mind, but the desires are produced because of the false ego, which is making us believe that I am part of this material world in a particular way. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a Indian, I'm a South Indian, I'm a North Indian. And then it also makes us believe that there are certain things which I'm lacking. So when I feel that I'm lacking this particular thing, I desire that I should have that. And each one of us, we feel we lack certain things in a unique way. So we go for that. And when we are trying to have those desires fulfilled, there are certain desires which do not get fulfilled. And when that happens, that leads to anger. How do we overcome this? The simplest way of overcoming this anger is if we are engaging in devotional service to Krishna in a chaste way. What is chaste way? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if you remember the verse of 14th chapter, Mam cho yo abhyavicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That word vyabhichari means somebody who's unchaste. Where it is mentioned vyabhichari, if you see Chanakya Pandit, he talks about three things who are enemies to us. Rinam kritva pita satru, mata satru vyabhicharini, rupavati bharya satru, putra satru apanditaha. Four things he's mentioning. But there is mata satru vyabhicharini. Mata satru vyabhicharini means who's not having the right character, who's characterless, who's going around with other people. She's an enemy to the family. This is what Chanakya Pandit says. Abhyavicharini is opposite of that Vyabhicharini. I mean, who's chaste, not unchaste, who's chaste. We have to have chastity to Krishna. There is nobody else in our life. Abhyavicharini bhakti. Mam choyo. Unfailing devotional service. That's what Prabhupada writes in the translation. When somebody is engaging in unfailing devotional service, naturally you'll be able to overcome all these lower modes like anger and all these things which are made. So the chastity and doing it without break, without interruption, engaging in devotional service is the solution. Any other question? Four 7:15. 4:15. Yeah, 4:7:15. So the verses start from 4:7:13 to 15. This is the last one. That's where he's praying. He understands his position and he asks for forgiveness from Shiva. His Bhakta Jay has a good habit I've seen. He keeps saying Krishna, 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 Krishna. Anything happens, he'll. Prabhu also says, but I think his is more frequent, I've seen. Krishna, 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 he does always. Very. I mean, actually, when it happens, when the danger comes, we don't remember that we have to go to Krishna. First, we think if there is a disease or something or anything goes wrong, who's the doctor, where to go, what are the material solutions I can look for. I don't call out to Krishna feelingly that too. But you see this, all these devotees, anytime they have danger, they just have only one solution. They call out to Krishna. Another point that I didn't mention, I could have done that, but one other thing that we have to see is sometimes, we um, get caught up whether I should take an action or Krishna should protect us. Say, for example, um, when the pastime of Aghasura happened, the cowherd boys, initially they didn't know, they thought that it is a cave, but when they went close to that, they thought they knew that it's a demon, it's a snake, it's the mouth of a snake, but they didn't care. Say, okay, Krishna is there, he is going to take care of me, and they entered into the mouth. Um, so like that also, in sometimes, people, when that COVID situation was going on, when it was at its peak, some of the people, Krishna is going to take care, and they went and they did something and they got this thing. But there are some people who are very, very, they believe in the action. There is a demarcation between faith and action, and how do we know which one to do? So that requires the intelligence from the heart, and to follow that. There is a story of one man who was in a village, and there was a heavy flood, and he was praying to the Lord, "Oh Lord, please save me, please protect me, please do, somehow you do something." And then there was a lifeboat which came. First time he said, "Oh, I don't need it. Krishna is going to take care." Or no, no, not Krishna, whoever, the God is going to take care. Then again, the water level was rising. Again, one more time the lifeboats came, and again he's telling, "Oh, the Lord is going to take care." Third time it happened, and he refused. The lifeboats went back, and finally he got drowned and he died. So when he went to heaven, he was asking, "Oh, why did you not save me? Arey, fool, I sent you three times lifeboats, you didn't take it." So how do we know that? So that fine balance, whether to act or not. Like in the first case, if you see in Arjuna's life, Arjuna, when he heard Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, he fought. It's not like, he sat down and Krishna did everything. He fought there. But the same instruction of Krishna, when he remembered them at the later point in time, he withdrew. He went to, he retired. The same instructions. Instructions are same. But in one time he is doing something, in another time he is doing this another thing. So to do that, to decide that, we need, intelligence or the direction from the Lord in our heart, as well as consultation from the Vaishnavas, from the senior devotees. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Sometimes it can be very, very confusing in our life also. Blindly we may say Krishna is going to protect or take care, and we don't take action, and we may lead in, it may lead to something very, very severe. Any other thoughts, questions? Who can repeat the verse? Okay, let's do the first line. Okay, okay. Arjuna Uvacha. Alright. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. No, yeah. Abhayangara. Tomeko Daihyamananam. Apavargosi Samshritehe. Arjuna Uvacha. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. Bhaktanam Abhayankara. त्वमेको दह्यमानानाम् अपवर्गोऽसि संश्रितेः। अर्जुन उवाच कृष्ण कृष्ण महाबाहो भक्तानामभयङ्कर त्वमेको दह्यमानानाम् अपवर्गोऽसि संश्रितेः। जगन्नाथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे।